There's a guy in Phoenix making $42,000 a year who drives a paid-off Honda and has $73,000 sitting in index funds. And there's another guy, same city, making $95,000 who's 3 months behind on his lease payment and has $1,800 in checking. Same rent zone, both single. Similar student debt. One of them sleeps fine. The other one is Googling how to consolidate credit cards at 2 in the morning. Here's what nobody tells you. The broke guy thinks the other guy inherited money. He didn't. He thinks he must live with roommates. He doesn't. He thinks there's some secret income stream. There isn't. The only difference is one of them runs his financial life through a filter, and the other one doesn't. And that filter isn't complicated. It's not some 10-step morning routine or a vision board. It's a set of rules so simple they sound stupid until you realize 90% of people making six figures are violating every single one of them. So here's what I'm laying out. I'm going to show you the exact minimalist operating system that keeps certain people wealthy at any income level while everyone else stays broke no matter how much they make. And I'm going to explain why your brain actively fights against every single rule, which is exactly why they work. By the way, I built a free early retirement calculator because most online ones are mathematically wrong. It uses BlackRock and Vanguard logic to expose the weak points in your plan, and I only ask for your email to send the report so I don't store any of your financial data. Link in the description. Look, I spent 20 plus years running a business, surrounded by accountants and fiscal lawyers who taught me how money actually moves. Not theory, real capital allocation. And what I learned is this. Most people don't have an income problem. They have a filtering problem. They're running financial decisions through a broken operating system and wondering why they keep getting the same broke output. Think of it this way. Your financial life is just a series of yes or no decisions. Buy this, don't buy that. Take this job, skip that opportunity. Every single day, dozens of small gates that either let money through or keep it. Most people have no system for those gates. They're just vibing, feeling it out, trusting their gut, which, by the way, is the same gut that thinks Chipotle is a reasonable dinner 4 times a week at $16 a pop. The minimalist filter I'm talking about is the opposite. It's a set of pre-made decisions, rules you install once that run automatically so you're not burning willpower on every stupid transaction. And the crazy part is how few rules you actually need. I'm going to give you 5, not 20, not 10. 5 core rules that, if you actually follow them, make it borderline impossible to stay broke. But first, I need to explain why you're wired to violate all of them. There's this concept in behavioral economics called hyperbolic discounting. Fancy term for a simple fact. Your brain values now way more than later. Put $100 in front of someone and say, you can have this now, or $110 in a month. And most people take it now, even though waiting is a 10% monthly return, which annualized is 120%. That's better than every hedge fund on earth. But it doesn't matter. Your brain sees the bill. It wants the bill. Everything else is abstract. This is the core problem. Money is abstract. A new couch is concrete. Your brain will pick concrete over abstract every single time unless you have rules that override it. So that's escalation 1. You're not fighting lazy spending habits. You're fighting 200,000 years of evolution that says resource in hand beats resource in bush. And if you go into this thinking willpower is enough, you've already lost. Now you might think, okay, fine, I just need discipline. I'll track my spending, I'll budget harder. And look, to be fair, that's better than nothing. But here's the problem. Budgeting is still negotiation. Every time you look at a category that says dining out, $300 limit, you're negotiating with yourself. And you're negotiating with a brain that has 200,000 years of practice justifying immediate rewards. You're going to lose that negotiation. The minimalist approach is different. It's not negotiation, it's pre-commitment. You install the rule before the decision comes up, so there's nothing to negotiate. It's the financial equivalent of Odysseus tying himself to the mast before the sirens show up. You don't trust future you to make the right call. You make the call now and remove the option. So here's rule 1. The 72-hour gate. Any non-essential purchase over $50 gets written down, and you wait 72 hours before buying. Not think about it, not research it. You write it down, you set a timer, and you do nothing. 72 hours later, you reassess. And here's the psychological trick. Most buying desire has a half-life of about 8 hours. By 72 hours, it's basically dead. you won't even remember why you wanted it. I'm telling you, this rule alone will save you thousands annually because the entire consumer economy is built on impulse. Every store layout, every website flow, every only 3 left in stock message is designed to collapse the time between wanting and buying. The 72-hour gate reinstalls that time, and time kills most bad purchases. But now you're asking yourself, what about essentials? What counts as essential? And this is where it gets really interesting because your brain is very good at reclassifying wants as needs. You need a winter coat. Okay, fine. Do you need the $200 Patagonia one, or will the $70 Costco one keep you equally warm? Your brain will tell you the expensive one is an investment. It'll last longer. You're actually saving money. And maybe that's true, but probably you just want the logo. So rule 2, the replacement only principle. You don't buy new things, you only replace broken things. Your phone works, you don't upgrade. Your couch is ugly but functional, you don't replace it. Something has to actually stop working before it's on the table. And I mean stop working. Not the battery only lasts 6 hours instead of 8. Not there's a scratch on the screen. Dead, broken, unfixable. This rule sounds extreme until you realize how much money evaporates into working things you replaced for no reason. I watched a guy upgrade his iPhone every single year for 7 years, roughly $1,000 a year. $7,000 spent on phone upgrades while his previous phone worked perfectly fine. That's enough to buy a used car. Or, $7,000 in an index fund, which over 20 years at 7% becomes $27,000, but he got to have the new camera. Now here's the thing about these first 2 rules. They sound like deprivation. They sound like you're living some joyless, minimal existence. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is you're installing a filter that blocks low-value decisions so high-value ones can breathe. Because here's what nobody talks about. Every dollar you spend isn't just gone. It's gone plus opportunity cost. That dollar could have been working for you, compounding, building wealth while you sleep. Instead, it bought you a thing that's depreciating in your closet. And this brings us to the second escalation, the lifestyle creep trap. This is the reason people making 6 figures are broke. They get a raise. Their filter doesn't change. So their spending rises to match the income, new apartment, nicer car, better restaurants. Suddenly they're making 50% more and somehow they have less margin than before. There's this famous study from the University of Chicago. They tracked people who got raises between 20 and 30%. Within 6 months, 83% of them had spent the entire raise on lifestyle upgrades. 83%. Their savings rate didn't move. They just recalibrated their baseline to the new income. So the raise didn't help. It just made them dependent on a higher number. The minimalist filter solves this with rule 3, the earnings lock. Every time your income increases, you lock your lifestyle spending at the previous level and the entire increase goes straight to savings or investments. Not most of it, all of it. You're not allowed to inflate your lifestyle until your investments hit a specific threshold. For most people, that threshold should be at least 1 year of expenses in index funds. Until you're there, lifestyle is frozen. I did this in 2008 when I sold a division of my company, made about $300,000 more that year than I'd planned, and I lived exactly the same. Same apartment, same car, same restaurants. The whole $300,000 went into Vanguard. And you know what happened? Nothing. My life felt identical because lifestyle inflation doesn't actually make you happier. Study after study shows happiness from material goods peaks fast and then you're back to baseline. You're not happier in the bigger apartment, you're just broke in a bigger apartment. But now you might be thinking, okay, this is all fine for some minimalist weirdo, but I have a life, I have friends, I have social obligations. And this is the third escalation, which is the most uncomfortable one. Your social circle is a monthly tax. Every friend group has a baseline burn rate. Dinners, trips, concerts, bachelor parties, baby showers. It all costs money. And if your friend group's burn rate is higher than your income supports, you have 3 options. Earn more, go broke, or change the group. Most people pick go broke without realizing they picked it. They just keep saying yes to things they can't afford because saying no feels uncomfortable. But here's the math. Let's say your friend group does 1 dinner a week at $40 a head, one weekend trip a quarter at $600, and two bigger trips a year at $2,000 each. That's $208 a month on dinners, $200 a month averaged on quarterly trips, and $333 a month on the big trips. $741 a month, almost $9,000 a year, just from social baseline. Now, if you're making $70,000 a year, that's 13% of your gross income going to social, and that's before rent, food, transportation, or saving a single dollar. You're cooked, but nobody talks about this because talking about it makes you sound cheap, so people just quietly go broke trying to keep up. Rule 4, the social budget cap. You allocate a fixed dollar amount to social spending per month, and when it's gone, you're done. You don't borrow from next month. You don't put it on a card. You're just out. And you tell people you're out. Hey, I'm capped this month. I'll catch you next time. Most people will think you're weird for about 10 seconds and then forget. And the ones who don't forget, the ones who give you grief, those are the people taxing you into poverty. Cut them. I know a guy who started doing this at 32. His friend group was expensive. Bottle service, golf trips, steakhouses. He made good money, around $110,000, but he had nothing saved. So he set a $400 monthly social cap and stuck to it. First month, he got some jokes. Second month, two of his friends stopped inviting him. Third month, he realized those two were never really friends. They were just co-spenders. Now, 5 years later, he's got $190,000 invested and a smaller, cheaper friend group that he actually likes more. The psychology here is simple. Expensive social circles exist because everyone's trying to signal status. And if you're in a circle where status is signaled through spending, you're in a circle that will keep you broke. Find people who signal status through competence or creativity or just being interesting. Those people are cheaper and better. But here's where it gets really interesting. The fourth escalation, the minimalist arbitrage. Once you've installed these rules and you're not hemorrhaging money on impulse purchases, lifestyle creep, and social keeping up, something weird happens. You start seeing opportunities that broke people miss, because opportunity has a price tag, and if you're always at zero, you can't pay it. There's this concept in finance called dry powder. It's capital sitting in reserve, ready to deploy fast when something good shows up. Most people have no dry powder. They're running their finances at redline every month. So when a deal pops, they miss it. Real estate dip, stock crash. Business opportunity, doesn't matter. They're watching from the sidelines because they've got no bullets. But if you're running the minimalist filter, you've always got dry powder. You're not spending on stupid stuff, so margin builds automatically, and that margin turns into options. Options turn into asymmetric bets, and asymmetric bets are where actual wealth comes from. Let me give you a concrete example. March of 2020, market crashes. S&P drops 34% in 5 weeks. If you had 10,000 in dry powder and you put it into an S&P index fund at the bottom, that's worth about 23,000 today. 130% return in under 6 years. But only if you had the 10,000. Most people didn't. They were broke, so they watched. Or smaller scale. Let's say you've been running these rules for a year and you've built up 8,000 in savings. Your car breaks, transmission dies. Mechanic says it's 4,000 to fix. Most people would panic. They'd put it on a card at 19% interest and spend the next 2 years paying it off. Total cost around $5,000. But you've got the 8,000. You pay cash. You're out 4,000, but you saved yourself $1,000 in interest and 2 years of stress. That's the arbitrage. Margin gives you the ability to avoid the broke person tax. Now, let me show you what this looks like in practice with real numbers. Let's compare two people. Both start at age 30. Both make $55,000 a year. Person A lives at Redline, spends $54,000 annually, saves $1,000. Person B installs the filter, lives on $40,000, banks $15,000 a year. Year 1, the difference is $14,000. Not life-changing, but person B is investing that $15,000 into index funds at an average 7% return. By year 10, person A has saved $10,000 total. Person B has $207,000. Same age, same income. One of them is a decade away from financial independence. The other one is still stressed about rent. The only difference is the filter. By age 50, person A has saved maybe $60,000 if they got disciplined later. Person B has $1.4 million. Same income, Same years, different operating system. And here's rule 5, the compounding lock. Once money goes into investments, it's dead to you. You don't touch it, you don't borrow from it, you don't even look at it more than once a quarter. It's gone. Because the moment you start treating your investments like a piggy bank, you break compounding. And compounding is the only force strong enough to make normal people wealthy. Einstein supposedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. I don't know if he actually said that, but it's true anyway. $1 invested at 7% doubles every 10 years without you doing anything. That's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. $1 becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes 8. But only if you leave it alone. Every time you pull money out for something dumb, you reset the clock. I've seen people with $500,000 in 401ks take out $50,000 for a kitchen remodel, and they think, it's my money, I earned it. Sure. But that $50,000 left alone for 15 years at 7% would have been $138,000. You traded $138,000 for granite countertops. Congrats, your kitchen looks great and you're working 3 extra years. The minimalist framework isn't about living like a monk. It's about installing decision gates that protect future you from present you's dumbest impulses. Because present you is an idiot. Present you wants the thing. Future you has to live with the consequences. And if you don't build a system that favors future you, you're going to wake up at 55 making decent money with nothing saved, wondering where it all went. Here's what most people get wrong. They think the goal is to make more money. More money is good. But more money without a filter just means you're broke at a higher income level. I know people making $200,000 who have less peace of mind than people making 50, because the 50,000 person learned to filter and the 200,000 person just scaled their chaos. The real goal isn't more money, it's more options. Options mean you can say no. No to the job you hate, no to the client who's abusive, no to the life you're not excited about. Money is just the tool that buys options, but only if you keep it. Spend it all and you're back to 0 options, just with nicer stuff in your apartment. Let me hit you with one more psychological layer. There's a reason luxury brands exist. It's not because their products are 10 times better. It's because they let you signal status without doing anything difficult. You can't easily signal that you're smart or kind or competent. Those things take time to demonstrate. But you can signal wealth instantly by wearing a logo. So people do. They spend money they don't have on signals they don't need for people who don't care, and it keeps them broke. The minimalist filter rejects this entirely. You're not signaling, you're building, and building is quiet, nobody sees it. Your coworkers don't know you've got $150,000 invested. Your neighbors don't know you could quit your job tomorrow and be fine for 2 years. It's invisible wealth. But invisible wealth is the only kind that matters because it's the only kind that's real. So here's what you do. You take these 5 rules, the 72-hour gate, the replacement only principle, the earnings lock, the social budget cap, the compounding lock. You install them. Not all at once if that's too hard. Start with one, master it for a month, add the next one. But you actually do it. You don't just nod and think good ideas and go back to your life. Because good ideas that you don't implement are just entertainment. And here's the thing. Once you install these rules, your financial life becomes automatic. You're not thinking about money constantly. You're not stressed about bills. You're not wondering if you can afford something. The filter handles it. You just live. And that's the paradox. The minimalist approach gives you less stuff, but more life. Because you're not spending your mental energy managing financial chaos, you're free to think about things that actually matter. Look, I spent 2 decades watching people make money and lose money. The ones who kept it weren't smarter. They weren't luckier. They just had better filters. They made boring decisions consistently. And boring decisions compound into extraordinary outcomes. Don't work for money. Own the companies that do. Here's your 3 takeaways. 1. Install the 72-hour gate today and track how much you don't spend over the next month. 2. Calculate your current social burn rate and cap it at 10% of your net income maximum. 3. Set up an automatic transfer to an index fund the day after you get paid, before you can spend it. The market doesn't care about your intentions. It rewards behavior. Build the filter or stay broke. Those are your options.